The chairman of the Presidential Task Force, honorable ministers, members of the PTF, gentlemen of the press, good evening. So today I'll be talking about the oncoming celebrations of Eid al-Adha or Eid al-Kabir. The PTF understands that Eid al-Kabir is a major celebration for Muslims globally. We would nevertheless want to remind us all that the safety guidelines for the second phase of the ease of lockdown is still in place for the purpose of public safety. In fact, the protocol we have designed with regards to places of worship remains effective as at the time we opened the mosques and churches. For this reason, the PTF strongly advises against mass public gatherings in any form. Safety is important. Infection control measures must be observed in public spaces at all times. We urge states and religious bodies to make specific determination and recommendations regarding Eid congregation in their respective states. As mentioned by the chairman earlier on, we are aware of some states have already put out guidance, and for those that have restricted celebrations, we are grateful for the proactive step they have taken. It's important to note that coronavirus continues to be a significant threat to all of us and to our way of life. We know that it does not discriminate. We know that it doesn't really care whether or not you are celebrating Sallah. We are all susceptible and we need to take care. In terms of the specifics, I'll first of all start with talking about the issue of physical distancing, which needs to be at least 1 meter between people at all times. We strongly recommend the mandatory use of face masks and urge authorities to make sure that those persons not wearing face masks are not allowed entry into the places of worship, especially during Sallah. Strongly recommend avoiding physical contact. Greetings is a good thing, but you can greet each other by waving, by nodding, or by placing your hand over your heart. We will continue to prohibit large mass gatherings in public spaces, so durbas, street shows, and public gatherings. We strongly discourage social gatherings and family visits, especially by members, by friends that are not part of the family set up in the household, and particularly as it relates to vulnerable populations like those above the age of 60 and those with comorbidities. All entertainment venues shall remain closed during the Eid period. Our advice to high-risk groups remains that those above the age of 60 years or have comorbidities should preferably stay at home, and those sick and or having symptoms should not attend the Eid prayers. In terms of mitigation measures when it comes to physical gatherings, we recommend holding the event outdoors for the prayers, if possible, if the weather permits. If it has to be indoors, the numbers should be limited, and we must ensure adequate ventilation and airflow. All events should be shortened to limit potential exposure, because the longer you stay within an enclosed environment with an infectious person, the more likely you are to catch it. Total time, including sermons, remain unchanged as per our previous guideline and not to exceed an hour. We strongly recommend holding smaller services with fewer attendees or staggering the prayers, and particularly making use of neighborhood worship centers rather than large congregations. We advise maintaining physical distancing throughout, including during the period of prayer, during the performance of ablution, etc. Religious authorities are advised to regulate the number and flow of people entering, attending, and departing from worship areas and to ensure safe distancing at all times. We expect temperature monitoring as well as arrangements to deal with sick persons and the facilitation of contact tracing if this happens. From the point of view of maintaining a healthy hygiene, hand washing facilities must be adequately equipped with soap and water. We strongly advise on the use of alcohol-based hand rubs at entrances and inside places of worship, and the provision of disposable tissues, as well as bins with closed lids to enhance the safe disposal of waste. Where people are attending, preferably attend with your own personal prayer rug to place over carpets, with frequent cleaning of often touched surfaces such as doorknobs, railings, etc. In terms of animal management and marketplace restrictions, since this is Eid al-Adha, this is Eid al-Kabir, we'll all be slaughtering rams, we urge the allocation of enough space to keep animals and to avoid overcrowding in anticipation of slaughter. We encourage slaughter at facilities while practicing physical distancing, hand hygiene, and adequate protective measures. Preferably, if it has to be in a home, then preferably nominate a household member to perform this and to help with the distribution of food, of meat, so that we reduce exposure to other members of the family. We certainly discourage overcrowding associated with the distribution of meat and consider physical distancing measures in place. In summary, I would like to echo the statement by the Nigeria Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs released yesterday under the leadership of its President General and Sultan of Sokoto, His Eminence Alhaji Muhammadu Saad Abubakar, and I quote, "We are living in unusual times where normalcy has become abnormal, including social gatherings and large congregational prayers. Muslims are enjoined to note that Eid al-Adha is not a compulsory religious activity and should only be observed if security of health of our own lives and as well as our health is maintained. Muslims should continue to act according to the established protocol in their various communities and locations in Nigeria during the forthcoming Eid al-Adha. In places where restrictions have been lifted from congregational prayers, Muslims should observe their Eid prayers while still taking necessary safety measures regarding personal hygiene, facial masks, and social distancing. It is even advisable that in such places, massive gatherings at one Eid ground in a big city should be avoided. Rather, the Eid could be performed in area mosques to avoid unmanageable crowds. However, in places where the ban on public congregational prayers and social religious gatherings is still in force, Muslims are directed to be law-abiding, while appreciating that intentions supersede actions, and actions are judged on the basis of intentions." Close quote. We are grateful to the Nigeria Supreme Council of Islamic Affairs for continuing to support our actions against COVID, and we know that this is not yet over. It is not over yet until it is over. Let us try and stay safe and stay alive. Eid Mubarak. Thank you.